Well, welcome to the Tea with Amanda Roley. I am joined by Coeur d'Alene mayoral candidate Debbie Loffman. Debbie, welcome. So pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and you have some piping hot tea. I've got my lavender. What are you sipping on? We got you an herbal wild berry hibiscus. What do you make of that?
Delicious.
You have a nice little sip there.
Delicious.
Well, thank you for coming. You're running for a top job in City Hall here in Coeur d'Alene. First of all, before we dive into politics, I want to get to know you a little bit better. Tell me about yourself. I understand you are a grandma, but also a businesswoman. Yes. Tell me about that.
So I'm a businesswoman running for mayor of Coeur d'Alene. I was born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota, in a wonderful Baptist family. And when I was in my 20s, then I moved to a suburb of Sacramento, and I opened a tenant screening company. It screened tenants for landlords, and it grew to having 11 employees, and I sold 5 franchises of it in different states.
And what does that mean, tenant screening? What does that do?
It screens tenants for landlords. It's like a credit bureau.
Okay.
And it grew, and I had that for 10 years. Then I got a good offer, and I sold it.
Oh, wow.
So
after 10 years?
After 10 years.
Okay.
Then a year later, I got my real estate license and my broker's license, and I opened another company called Loffman Realty and Property Management.
Okay.
And I specialize in property management. And for the past 12 years in a row, my company won Best Property Management Company in that region of over 1 million people. So it's a really difficult business to do well.
That's a feather in your cap there. Congratulations.
You're dealing with owners and tenants and vendors. And in order to do it well, you have to have good negotiation skills, you have to make right decisions, and you have to be a good problem solver.
I'm excited to dive into that. I love it. And then, so I understand you moved to Coeur d'Alene in 2019 to be closer to family. Can you kind of talk me through how that decision shaped your pursuit of taking a city leadership role?
So in 2019, my daughter and son-in-law came to us and said, we don't want to raise our family in California. We're looking for a conservative city where we can plant our flag. And so they looked at Franklin, Tennessee, other parts of Tennessee, I think Florida, I don't think Texas, but they looked at several places. And when they came to Coeur d'Alene, my daughter called me, Mom, I think we found our city, pray. And you said you would move with us. I said, absolutely, absolutely. So we flew out as a family. We prayed and made a decision that Coeur d'Alene was where we're going to all move. So in 2020, we moved to Coeur d'Alene and then rented for a little bit. And then in 2021, we bought a house in Coeur d'Alene. So that's how we got here.
Aside from moving with family, what made you fall in love with this area?
Oh, boy.
I know there's a lot.
Do you have an hour? Coeur d'Alene to me is a place that stands for common sense values, for respect of other people. In our neighborhood, we watch out for each other, and I just love. I have more friends at my age now in Coeur d'Alene than I've ever had in my entire life. So I love the area, and I love the weather because coming from St. Paul, Minnesota, okay,
it gets colder there, I bet.
Yeah, the snow doesn't melt. It stays there all winter, and then it piles up and piles up. So you're probably wondering why I want to run for mayor.
Yes, let's get to it. She's ready to spill the tea. I can feel it. So yes, tell me about that.
Okay.
What prompted your decision to seek the mayor's office?
I want to run for mayor because I want to be a voice for people in Coeur d'Alene who do not feel heard by the city council that's there now. That's what they tell me. That's what they want is more of a conservative voice for them. A little more balance, maybe, and again,
balance in what way?
Balance politically.
Oh, okay.
You know, that's what they want, and so I decided that I would step up to the plate and be courageous and run for mayor.
Kind of speaking more to the balance. So, which end of the scale do voters have they told you?
I'm a conservative Republican, so that's where I stand in politics. And this is a new venture for me. I've never been in politics before, So
This would be your first time holding office.
it'd be my first time holding office.
Okay.
And people might say, okay, she's only lived in Coeur d'Alene for 5 years. She doesn't have any political experience. Why should we vote for Debbie Loffman? And I would say that's a fair question. And running a property management company is such a difficult business that I feel that I can work with the city council, with the departments. There's 16 different departments, and they all have department heads. And you want to know what each department, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. I work well with all different types of people. People that are more conservative than me, people that are more liberal than me, and I like to find common ground.
And you even mentioned in your last or your property management, you work with vendors and property managers. So you kind of already work with different sectors. Is that something that you're leveraging in your experience to apply to the mayor's office?
Yes, I feel like Coeur d'Alene's a huge property to manage.
You're right, and it keeps getting bigger too.
And it keeps getting bigger.
Yeah,
which will go into the problems that Coeur d'Alene faces right now.
And I do want to ask, you are the only woman running for the mayor's office. What do you think about that? I
would be the second woman to ever be mayor in Coeur d'Alene. The first one, I think her name was Sandy. She was in 2001. She won.
Sandy Boom. Yeah. So you've done your research there.
Yeah. So
what do you make of that? I mean, are you hoping to inspire other women, or what? What comes to mind? Just that being up in the ranks.
A woman's perspective, maybe. You know, we see things a little differently, and like I say, I love Coeur d'Alene. I love people. I like to work with people. I'd like to use the skills that I've developed in actually 35 years in business, but 20 years as property management. That's the skills that I'd like to bring to the table.
Yeah, and you mentioned bring a different kind of perspective. What kind of perspective would you say you'd bring to the table?
Maybe new eyes, a fresh look at how things are done. One of my strengths is working with different types of people. And the departments, a good leader is able to spur people on to excellence, to do their best, to know they're appreciated. I think everyone in Coeur d'Alene, like I said, has 16 departments, 12 different department heads, and about 425 employees. And I want them to know that they're appreciated, that we appreciate the work that they do, what's working, what's not working. You know, talk to me, I'm a good listener.
How would you describe your leadership style in that regard?
A good listener, a good leader. I have a tendency to know and to see strengths in people and to encourage that and bring that out. When I'm working with a vendor and he does a good job, he'll get a text from me, excellent job on that. Thank you for representing, you make my company look good.
That goes a long way, right?
It does, it does. Running down doesn't help, it doesn't do any good. So I want all of the people that work in the city to know they're appreciated.
How would you like your relationship to look like if you're elected to mayor, as far as working with city staff, working with city council?
Yeah, I want them to know that I'm easy to get along with.
That's tough. That's tough, though, sometimes as mayor.
I'm easy to get along with.
Okay.
And I appreciate people's different opinions. You know, there's a saying that says, when someone presents a project or an idea to you, it seems great until the rebuttal comes in. And then you have to look at that, and that's how you weigh into a really good decision, is looking at both sides of an issue. And I'm good at doing that.
And you acknowledge this yourself, not having held a official or city office or government office yet. Why not start, just kind of on the flip side, why not start, you know, being part of a committee, that sort of thing, starting out smaller before diving right in? Does that speak to your ambition in this campaign?
Yeah. The role of the mayor is executive. It's not legislative like the council. The role is leadership. The role is building a cohesive team. And I feel like that's my strength. That's what I do best. And that's what I want to bring to the city.
That's great. Now let's see, looking at your campaign, you say keeping Coeur d'Alene safe is your top priority. And can you kind of walk me through, what does that look like under your leadership if you're elected? What changes could residents actually see?
We can't take it for granted that Coeur d'Alene is a safe city. We need to make sure that we hold our police and our first responders in high regard, high respect, and give them the resources they need to keep us safe. That's really important. You know, coming from California, I can see what doesn't work. I can see.
Like what?
I'll give you an example.
Sure.
Say you own a rental property, and I'm your manager, and it's vacant, and we're looking for a new tenant. A squatter breaks in and sets up a little camp in there in your vacant property. And I call the sheriff and I say, hey, there's a break-in. In California, there's something called squatters' rights. Are you familiar with that?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And that happened to me one time in 20 years. And I called the sheriff.
On one of your properties that you managed?
I had to call the owner and I said, someone broke in. And he said, well, call the police and get them out. And I said, I did that. And the sheriff said, we can't remove them.
Oh.
I said, why not? He said, well, they have rights. Squatters have rights. Okay. So I said, okay. So we had to go to court. We had to file what's called a 3-day notice, wait the time, file an unlawful detainer. Took me 3 months to get them out. And they sort of trashed the place, not seriously bad, but I can't have those policies coming through in any way or shape or form in Coeur d'Alene.
And I have to be transparent, I'm not totally well-versed in squatters' rights in North Idaho, but I guess what is your vision in that regard? I guess, do you
I have been told by other property managers, you just call the sheriff and they'll be removed because they're trespassing. And that's what it should be. A similar situation would be, you know, say somebody goes into your car and says, I'm in your car now I own it, or now it's mine. It's very similar to that, I think. You know, and how are you going to get them out of your car? It should be the same way to get them out of your house. You call the police and say, you know, please remove them from my home. So
are there changes regarding public safety that you'd want to see or support if you're elected?
We're a safe city and we're a safe state. In fact, I looked at the crime rates of all the states in all 50, and Idaho was at the was the bottom of the list as far as the highest crime, the lowest crime.
Do you remember what list that might have been? How do we know that?
I did print it out. I didn't bring it with me, though. I printed it out.
Or just who's reporting that?
You know, I don't remember who reported that. That was just sent to me.
That's interesting.
And I saw Idaho at the very bottom of crime, so.
Well, and to take that even further, the recent Coeur d'Alene Police Department, they do monthly crime rate reports, and it's shown over the last 10 years, it's seen a crime rate decrease of about 77%. That's a lot to boast about for the city of Coeur d'Alene.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's why I said that Coeur d'Alene stands for common sense values, for respect. You know, when you respect somebody, you don't even litter when you have respect. And respect for other people's property, respect for your neighbors. And those are the values that I hold dear, and that's why I love Coeur d'Alene so much.
Like that. And sticking with public safety, so the budget has been a hot topic. I mean, every election cycle, it's going to come up. The Coeur d'Alene Police Department has cited the rapid growth in the area, has kind of this plus this equals this, right? More people in the area turns into more calls for service. And so the department's described it as a dire need for officers. So what would you do as mayor to keep public safety and staffing levels up to pace with the growing population, and also a top priority financially? That's
a really good question. That's something that you have to look at as somebody whose top priority is safety. I went in, I didn't speak to the chief of police, but I went into the fire department.
Okay.
And I met with the fire chief.
Sure.
And I said,
So you're making your rounds. You may not have previous experience, but you're talking to people. You're knocking on doors. Yeah.
that fire chief told me that he's been there since 1992, and no mayoral candidate or mayor has ever come in to speak to him. That's what he said to me.
Really? Mayoral candidate.
Or mayor.
Or mayor.
That's what he said to me.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, well,
Wow.
I think we need to speak to them directly. That's what I would be doing.
Okay.
And that's my strength, again, I said. I like to hear from department heads and from the chiefs themselves. Now, there was a bond, a levy that passed in May for the fire department.
Right, yeah.
I think it was 20 million. So I asked him, hey, you guys should be doing good. He said, yes and no. Yes, that levy passed, and we have, but it's for equipment only, not for new employees. And we're 8 employees down, 8 men down. Oh, wow. So I don't know why that levy wasn't for employees. I don't know, but it should have been too, because we have to have that too.
So in kind of the flip side of things, we have heard council in the past talk about vacant positions within the police department, considering, hey, if we need to cut areas in the budget, it was more of a discussion of, do we leave those positions open? You say that the fire department has some vacant positions open. So if there were some areas to cut in the budget to try and balance it, I mean, is that an area that you would want to eliminate?
I'd hate to cut anybody. Okay. It's hard enough to make ends meet without telling somebody they don't have their job. So the other candidates, I've been hearing about how you would raise revenue. I think that the departments are running very efficiently, as far as I know right now, before digging in deeper. And asking them to cut is probably going to be pretty rough. Maybe it can be done, maybe not. But so if you can't cut anything, you have to raise revenue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Property taxes, people, you know, if you
it's
know.
a hot topic.
If you know how our city is run, 46% of the city's budget is property taxes. 28% comes from the state of Idaho, 12% state taxes, 12% licenses and permits, and the rest of it is liquor licenses and grants. So I like the idea. I heard another mayoral candidate say maybe a little extra tax on visitors.
Oh, with tourism, yes.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. I don't know if it can be done, but that's not a bad idea. Yeah. Any idea to raise revenue is okay with me, as long as it's not higher taxes.
Would you anticipate any backlash on that from?
Probably.
From losing visitors, maybe, or?
I don't think so, because again, when you're paying $400 for a night, I don't know. It varies from. I don't even think 200 is anymore. I think it's more 300, 400. A little extra tax on that probably wouldn't be a problem. I don't see that as a problem.
I just wanted to at least clarify. You mentioned it is hard to find cuts or even make cuts in the respect of someone's job. So would you be supportive of keeping positions filled to keep up with the growing pace so that we can make those calls?
Yes. Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
And then sticking, again, there's a lot to cover with public safety, so kind of keeping on topic there.
Okay.
We just had the tragic shooting, the Canfield Mountain shooting over the summer. Are there some things that you would want to do if you're elected mayor to see the city adapt and how emergency responders are protected? You
know, when I met with the fire chief, I did talk to him about that, and I gave him my deepest condolences on how that happened. It was like an ambush. It was really unexpected.
It was, yeah.
I asked him, excuse me, should the firemen, firewomen be armed? And he said, no, that comes into all kinds of safety issues, and now they'd have to, you know, be trained and everything. He said, that isn't something that we're looking at this point.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's a good discussion.
Yeah, it was a discussion that I had with him, but yeah, and that's never happened before, and hopefully never again.
Are there any changes that you'd want to see in general? Like, what changes need to happen within public safety?
I think we're running good.
Yeah.
I think we're really good.
Great.
I think we're doing good.
Great. Let's see. So I'm hoping you can spill the tea for me a little bit here. So I love that you bring, you describe yourself, new perspective, fresh eyes to the political sphere. So what's something about city politics that surprised you, and once you jumped into this race?
I made it a promise to myself and to others that I would not talk negatively, and I don't even call them my opponents, the other candidates. I wouldn't talk negatively about them. I'm only, in order to do that, you have to say how great you are. You have to talk about yourself more. And so I'm not going to speak negatively about the other candidates, just what I bring to the table as a candidate myself.
Yeah, it seems like this campaign has been pretty cordial across the board. Does that surprise you? I mean, I'm quite a few election cycles in, and a lot of times you do see the jabs, you do see the ads that come out speaking against one another, but it just seems like all the candidates just seem to be overall positive and kind of staying in their own lane in a way.
I think so.
Yeah.
We've had a good rapport between all of us. I know that when we were at a League of Women Voters forum, Dan Gukin was next to me and John Pulser on this side, and we all got along. In fact, people in the audience were giving questions, and Dan reached over to me and he said, "Look at my question. It says, what do you think of Debbie Loffman?" I said, "That's not your question." But it's a good question. I'll answer it for you.
Yeah.
And
right.
and I said, she's nice, she's capable, she's a good businesswoman. And he goes, "Okay."
There you go.
So.
Well, then let's move on to, we've touched on this a little bit, the population. We're just seeing, in the inland Northwest, really, we're seeing that population growth, and it continues to grow. We're seeing the impacts of that in Coeur d'Alene as well. One thing that more recently comes to mind is I-90. There's the beautiful trees in that section there on I-90. They're going to be eventually widening the lanes to 3 lanes.
Yes.
What do you make of that with the changes coming because of the growth?
We saw that on our way here.
Yeah. I know, it's that beautiful, it's kind of like that first signs of you're arriving in Coeur d'Alene.
Nothing you can do about that growth.
Yeah.
You have to widen roads. Freeway had to be widened, and sad as it is, that's what happened. Yeah, growth is probably the most contentious challenge that Coeur d'Alene has, because it grew too much, too fast. I'm one of them. I came in 2020, so I'm one to blame for that growth too. But what I'm hearing from people is, look, we're trying to welcome you. We just need to have our infrastructure in place. Downtown Coeur d'Alene had 3 cranes going on in the summer, and people were very, very upset about it. Everywhere I went, what can we do about it? What can we do about it? I said, the only thing we can do is voice our opinion to the city council, to the planners, and the developers, and say, can we slow this down so it's not so much, so fast, not 3 cranes going on at the same time.
It's almost like stopping a freight train. Can it be slowed? So your position would be that okay, how would you do that?
You just talk to them. You just say, here, you're going too fast. The people of Coeur d'Alene speak, and they want to be heard, and they want their voice to be known. They want their ideas heard and not only listened to, but understood, and a voice for them. So that's what I want to be.
Yeah. I mean, change is inevitable, but I guess, do you think the city is doing enough with the growth that's coming and changes that are coming? Do you think the city is doing enough to address the problem now, the growth now, while also preparing for future growth?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we have enough rentals. I don't think we need any more rentals.
Okay.
As a real estate broker, I'm not in Idaho as a broker, but I look at it all the time, and I see the houses that are for sale right now, and there's a lot. A lot of houses for sale. I think we have enough inventory. That's my personal opinion on that.
I know in your campaign you've mentioned you've promised to limit the vertical sprawl. So what's a realistic way that, without discouraging investment, that you would seek to do that?
Propose of height limits on new buildings downtown. That's what pretty much across the board, with very little pushback, the people of Coeur d'Alene would like that.
That seems to be just an ongoing discussion too. So you'd want to kind of put a policy in place that puts a cap on it?
That's what I'd like to see on new buildings, because the small town charm and character of Coeur d'Alene is worth protecting. And I really want to protect that. That's why I moved here.
How do you balance that though?
With growth?
Yeah.
Good question. That you have to go out a little bit instead of up. They say we don't want to be Boise. We don't want to be Seattle. We want to be Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah. You mentioned the out and up. One of the other candidates, I'll use your term, the other candidates have mentioned that's where it needs to go. We can't go further out. We just have to go up. What do you think about that?
I'd have to do a lot of research on that to make sure that that's true.
Yeah. Okay. And then let's see. So you mentioned families who work here should be able to live here, and the seniors who built this community should be able to remain in the community. So what would you think is getting in the way of that right now?
So one of the things that projects that I would be for would be smaller homes on smaller lots and more affordable, because I forgot to say I'm a mother and a grandmother.
Yes.
And I'd like my grandchildren to be able to afford a house. So if you have smaller homes, even 1,100 square feet is okay if they're affordable. And on smaller lots, little projects like that.
Now, where does affordable housing fit into that vision? Because it's hard. I mean, my age group, I won't share my age, but my age group and younger, we even have some producers here that are like, I don't know how I can ever be able to afford a home, and I'm worried about my future children being able to afford a home. So that's just, I mean, top of mind for future generations.
As a real estate broker, that's something that I can really look at. I can really work with developers and builders to say, let's come up with a good plan so that young people can buy their first home.
What do you think the mayor's role is in that?
Just voicing.
In that context.
Because it's executive, it's not legislative.
Sure.
So it's executive, and I can just voice the opinions of the people.
Yeah. I guess to kind of sum up growth there, what's one thing that needs to happen in the city that you would want to pursue as mayor to address the rapid growth and need the demand for housing?
Like I say, I think we have enough rentals.
Okay.
I've been looking around, they're still coming up. There's lots more in the pipeline. I think we have enough. That's what I feel. Yeah. The growth has slowed somewhat since 2020. Okay. It's peaked and it's slowing down a little bit. So,
which is what you were hoping to see, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's see. Coeur d'Alene. We'll move on to a few other things here. Coeur d'Alene has been in the national news more recently. The first with the Patriot Front arrests near a Pride event, and then with the racial harassment of a Utah women's basketball team who were in town visiting for March Madness. As mayor, what concrete steps would you take to call for accountability and condemn these acts? And these are questions we're asking other candidates as well, just to be fair. Yeah.
Yes, I understand that. I wasn't overly involved in those particular things that you're bringing about, but yeah, that's not my experience of Coeur d'Alene. My experience of Coeur d'Alene is respect for one another, respect for people of all walks of life, for their neighbors. That's what I experience in Coeur d'Alene.
So at the time, the administration did call for, the former mayor, Jim Hammond, did call for accountability and did condemn those acts.
Sure.
How would you maybe handle that situation if you were mayor?
Probably the same way, just condemn that. Say that's not right. We don't do that. It's not okay. One other thing I wanted to say is I am a supporter of term limits for those elected in public office. I think 2 4-year terms is a good 8 years. That's what I think.
Ooh.
I would support that. If the people of Coeur d'Alene wanted that, I would support that.
Okay. Where does that come from? What prompted that idea?
People tell me. People just talk to me, and I agree with that. I think that's a good. So I would just support that.
I kind of want to go back to this question may be referring to something you mentioned earlier. If your opponents were sitting here having tea with us right now, what do you think they would say about you, and would they be right?
Well, I think I touched on that they'd say she doesn't have any experience in politics. She hasn't been in Coeur d'Alene long enough. I think those are the two criticisms that I would get. So I'd say, look, that's fair. That's a fair criticism of me, and I think I answered that earlier, that I bring to the table business experience, running a successful company, award-winning successful company for 20 years. That's a long time to have successes. Most property management companies have terrible reviews and they just burn out after a while. And I have the stamina, and I make good decisions. And you're still running your property management company. I'm semi-retired. Oh, okay. Because I have excellent people working for me now, and they will eventually buy that, and they will eventually take over. Okay. So. That was my follow-up to that is, how would you balance managing the company and working as mayor? Well, I'm only part-time. Okay. Right now. So this is what I would give my heart to, office of mayor. And I guess leadership-wise, what sort of changes would you want to see, or what changes do you think need to happen at the leadership level within the city of Coeur d'Alene? Oh, she smirks. This is I'm going to sip some tea for this one, Debbie. Because, we have seen many of the candidates who are running for mayoral, the mayoral race, have been on council for, between them, 15 years or so. So it's kind of where I ask, with and I respect eyes. That. Yeah. I do respect that. I am a good leader. I would surround myself with excellent people who know the ins and outs of everything. In fact, last night we met someone who is a 5th generation Coeur d'Alenean, and I would want her on my team. Tell me everything. Tell me the good, the bad, everything. And people who are excellent in their field. With many counselors comes wisdom. And I would surround myself with really good counsel. Probably from, if I won mayor, probably from some of those that ran for mayor with me. I'd like their ideas too. Yeah. Some of the other candidates have mentioned wanting to change communication. Take that as you will. They want to improve communication. Is that something with the departments? The departments amongst staff. Absolutely. Is that something that? What do you think about that? That's my strength. Yeah. That's my absolute strength. Yeah. Working well with many different types of people, and really understanding their struggles and their strengths, and say, I see that in you. You can do that better. I know that. So boil it down for me, and I just kind of want to summarize for voters that are watching. If you could list out, and we'll dive deep into it, if you could list out your top 3 things that you would want to accomplish as mayor, what would they be? The top 3 things would be, I want to be a voice for people in the community that don't feel heard right now. People can agree or disagree with me on that. That's what I feel. Can I ask about that? Who are those folks that don't feel like they have a voice? Is there a certain group, or maybe more of a conservative people? Oh, okay. Okay. And I feel that I would be a good representative of the city. I feel that like I said, the role of mayor is executive. It's not legislative like the council. The role is leadership. It's building a cohesive team. It's working well with all of the departments and their employees. A good mayor is a good listener. A good mayor has good leadership that can bring out the best in people. Yeah. That's what I think I bring to the table. Yeah. So communication, that's communication's key. Yeah. Bring a voice to other people. And was there a third piece to what you'd like to accomplish as mayor? Well, I'd be a good ambassador. I think I'd represent Coeur d'Alene real well. What do you think is like one of the
bigger challenges that the city faces at this point?
Well, the growth.
Okay.
And slowing that down.
Okay.
And keeping it safe. So my 3 things in my campaign are safe, family-friendly, and beautiful. I like to preserve the small-town charm that makes Coeur d'Alene special and beautiful. Yeah. I like that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is
sure.
my involvement in the community. I have a
yes, yes. Oh, I'm glad you brought that. Yes, let's talk about that.
So
grandmas,
the grandmas to the rescue.
To the rescue.
Do you have any kids?
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when you will, you might need a grandma to come to the rescue. Mm-hmm. So this is a volunteer thing that I started actually 7 years ago, back when I was in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. And when I moved to Coeur d'Alene, I found women like me who wanted to join in that volunteer community service ministry, you could call it. Yeah. And we look for women who, most of the time, if they've just had a baby, because that's when they're struggling the most. So the first gal that we found that was her name was given to us, had 5 children, and the oldest one was 5. So you can imagine.
Yeah, big family.
Yeah. So my friend and I went in there every Monday for almost a year, and we would organize, we would do laundry, we would clean up the kitchen, sometimes make dinner, and this gives the mom some hope that everything's going to be okay, that she knows she's got some support, she's got somebody who cares, and when she would come back, she would just want to cry because there's somebody there that cares, and that's how I feel, because the strength of our families is the strength of our community, it's the strength of our city, it's the strength of our country to have strong families.
What does involvement look like now with grandmas to the rescue?
I took a couple months off.
Okay, all right.
I'm sure they're sad. Oh. My partner is still doing that, but I took a couple months off, but I'd go back to that. I love it.
Is this a type of initiative that you would want to apply through the mayor's office? What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I asked a couple other pastors, would this be something that you'd like to ask the grandmas in your congregation if they would seek out women who need help? Sometimes they just want someone to talk to and say, oh yeah, my child had that, here's how you fix that, or just give advice. So grandmas to the rescue.
Grandmas to the rescue. That is so wonderful. And so you started that in Sacramento, brought that to Coeur d'Alene. I guess how many families have you worked with?
Just 3 so far.
3 so far. And growing, or where are we at?
I would like to get other people to step in instead of myself all the time. We don't want it to be when we find a family that needs help, and it's not just the mom. You know, I say grandmas to the rescue and moms, but it also is helpful to the husband, and the little kids like it too. They know we're there to help. And sometimes when I leave, I see the little kid in the picture window, bye Debbie, bye Debbie. You know, like, you know, when the mommy's happy, it's nice for everybody. But I would like to see that more helpful to make our family strong.
I did want to go back to something you mentioned, keeping Coeur d'Alene beautiful. I know this is kind of heavy-handed on growth, but just because it is, you know, we see the change every day. What does that look like to you? How do we keep that beauty that you're talking about?
I'd like to see a slowdown in the downtown growth anyway. I'd like to see that slow down. Coeur d'Alene is one of these places, when we moved here, that we said, there's almost no litter. What is that about?
It is very clean.
It's really clean. Again, that comes back to respect. Respect of each other, respect of your city, and respect for the other candidates, right?
Sure.
You know, we just want to have respect for each other.
One other question I've asked our other candidates is the police chief, the Coeur d'Alene police chief, Lee White, has announced he is retiring, stepping down. In your time now in Coeur d'Alene, it sounds like you've come to love the fact that it is a very safe community. And speaking to during Chief Lee White's time in leadership, we've seen that crime rate go down. I guess my two-part, we'll start with what was your initial reation? Just, this
I was
leader.
surprised.
Yeah.
I didn't know why. I haven't met him, so I didn't go in to meet him.
And you mentioned you talked to the fire chief. Have you wanted to, are you hoping to chat with the chief as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, continue.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's one of my strengths is one-on-one. I like that more so. I like to hear right from the people what their struggles are, what their problems are. Yeah, I heard about his resignation. I didn't know why, but I heard about it. So hopefully the next fire chief the next police chief will be great.
Yeah.
Just great.
And that's my other part to the question is what, if you're elected, what sort of qualities would you want to see in that future?
That's again surrounding myself with excellent people who know what's going on in Coeur d'Alene, excellent references. You'd want to look at all of that, get a lot of counsel, That's a strength I have, listening.
That's great.
Getting counsel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see, we're coming around the bend here. So finish this sentence if you could. If I'm elected mayor, I promise to.
If I'm elected mayor, I promise to stand up for the common sense values that makes Coeur d'Alene great. Hard work, personal responsibility, helping our neighbors, respect for others, faith in God. I want to hold up these values and represent Coeur d'Alene as best as I can.
And I do want to key in as we close off. You mentioned you describe your vision in your campaign. You describe your vision rooted in faith, freedom, and community. So how can we see those values show up in your leadership style if you're elected mayor?
Oh, you'll see them. And hopefully you've seen them already.
Oh, you'll see them, she says.
And hopefully you've seen them already.
Yeah.
That's what I bring to the table.
That's great. And final question for you, Debbie. So again, you're running against 3 other mayoral candidates coming with all variety of views, perspectives, and levels of experience. We have a dentist on the ticket this year as well. What is something, if you could help kind of key in your message to voters, what makes you stand out against your opponents?
I think we looked at that in our talk here, but I stand out as someone who prays about the decisions that I make, who seeks God in everything that I do, and I love people, I love my community, and that's what I bring as mayor. I would bring that as mayor, is personal accountability, transparency. That's a word that people say a lot, but that's really true. And the ability to solve difficult problems. That's what I bring to the table.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for spilling the tea, Debbie. I appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck on this campaign.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers
Cheers.
to you.
There we go. Cheers.